Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be replacing the kitchen floor, and to do this I need to rip up the concrete that's here and see what I have to work with underneath. Now as I get started ripping this up, I found that they covered the whole floor in wire mesh before they poured this concrete over top, and that is also screwed down to hardy board or cement board, which is screwed down to the main floor of the house as well. So there are tons and tons of screws to pull out. The wire mesh is a huge pain. It's just going to take a lot of work to tear this up, and I don't want to create a ton of dust, so we're doing it a little bit slower and making sure that we vacuum up all the dust as we tear this out. Now this floor didn't really look that bad. It was put in before we bought the house, but the big complaint that we have with it is this is impossible to keep clean. It absorbs water and it's too textured to be able to mop or vacuum or sweep it, and it's really hard on your feet. And actually, while our girls were learning how to crawl and walk, they did not enjoy crawling across this floor and have fallen on it and gotten hurt before. Now that the concrete has been busted up, we've removed all of that. We now need to take the hardy board off, and now there are a ton of screws from the wire mesh still in this hardy board, so we're going to be pulling those out. And then they also put in a screw about every 6 inches on the hardy board in order to hold that down, so we're going to try to take out most of those if we can. Taking out the screws ahead of time is going to make this process a whole lot easier. Instead of trying to bust this all up and pull out each individual screw, they come out a whole lot easier if you try to use the drill. Now you may be wondering why I'm ripping up this hardy board or cement board. First of all, this doesn't really add much strength to the floor, it's just taking up space that I don't have. Also, this is really meant for tile floor with the grout and everything, but I'm not going to be putting a tile floor on this, so I'm going to be ripping this up. It'll give me a little extra thickness that I need to install a subfloor and then the flooring on top of that. Now we've got the hardy board all torn up. We're going to take up this tar paper that they rolled down. I believe this was just a moisture barrier in between the hardy board and that subfloor. Now this is actually subflooring. They used to use this instead of plywood or chipboard for the subfloor. They would run the boards diagonal across the house. So this house was built in '66, so I'm not sure when they stopped using this technique. But this flooring is fine as long as it has not gotten extensive water damage or has weakened significantly. So I'm actually going to leave this in here. One thing that really does help is if you can add another layer of subfloor to tie all of those boards together so that it's not just individual boards supporting weight. Once you start putting screws in every 6 inches in a square pattern across that subfloor, it's going to tie everything in together and really strengthen up the floor a lot more. Now to do this right, you want to make sure that at all possible you're going to make the flooring at the same height So I have wood flooring in the living room leading into the kitchen, and from the kitchen leading into the dining room. I need to make sure that the kitchen flooring lines up exactly the same height as the wood floor. That way you don't end up tripping or stubbing your toes into it, or have a step to kind of step down. It's just awkward. So I'm going to try to get this as close as I possibly can. I'm working with 3/4 inch thickness, and the flooring I'm going to use is just barely over 1/4 inch. So I have some 9/16 subfloor that I have here, and I'm going to be screwing that down to the floor with the 1/4 inch on top of that. The flooring that I'm going to be putting down, it's going to be within a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch difference between the floorings. So that's going to be great. It's hardly anything at all. You might not even notice it. Now I already mentioned that I'm going to be screwing down the 2 layers together about every 6 inches apart in square patterns all the way across the subfloor. And to do this, I'm using 1.25 or 1.5 screws. That will give me a 1/2 inch through the subfloor that I'm using, and then it will give me a full inch to screw down into the subfloor that's already in the house. Now I'm putting in a ton of screws. This really will help strengthen it up, like I mentioned before, but it also keeps the floor from squeaking. It's old houses like this, it's really easy to have the floor squeak, and I just hate having squeaky floors on a brand new floor that you're putting in. So I'm going to put a ton of screws in this just to make sure it doesn't squeak. Now the subfloor is all in. Now I'm going to go across the whole floor, check every section of this flooring, and make sure that there's no squeaks. Now there's one spot that was squeaking, and we put in several screws and it still wasn't stopping. So what I'm going to do with this is I got 3-inch long screws, and I'm going to be going down through this new subfloor into the beams downstairs holding up the floor, and that will sandwich the 2 flooring layers together and keep them from squeaking. Alright guys, that just about finishes up the video for today. I'm all ready to start installing the wood flooring through here. So if you're interested in that, check out the video at the end of this. I'll leave the link to that, and I'll show you guys just how easy it is to install this. Now if you're interested in home improvement and DIY videos, I've got a whole bunch of those on my channel already. If you're interested, go check that out and see what else I've got there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I upload a new video each Saturday, so if you don't want to miss out on those, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all. That really helps out the channel a ton, so please don't forget to do that. And thanks guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.